So welcome back everybody, my name is Paul and I've been making a lot of series about consciousness and world transformation, personal transformation, kind of putting my 2 cents out there, relating my own experiences, and as I've said in a lot of my other videos, I started studying esoteric subjects and mythology and religion a long time ago when I was real much younger. And over the years I practiced a particular meditation for a long time, and in addition to that I've read a lot of books and I listen to a tremendous amount of content from other people and inspired teachers and so on. And I make videos on really important subjects, and one of the things they talk a lot about is the old question is, who are we? And it's not really a facetious question. It's a very important question because we go through our lives, and as far as we know, we have this little attention and we have a name, and someone gives us a little birth certificate and all that stuff, and we have a little identity. But as we go through our life, we start realizing, wow, that identity is, man, it's not very secure, is it? Because the extreme cases, people they have amnesia, they get other kinds of problems, and we grow up and we change our ideas, we change our hair, we change our even religion. So the question of who we are is very, very relevant. And like everybody else, anyone who gets inspired by listening to different teachers over the years and reading books, you say, well, I got to ask that question myself. Who am I? And, I've read a lot of books related to that, as I said, and I have thought about it, but more than that, I've been meditating. And I want to talk a little bit about my experience and share my particular views of the old thing of the so-called ego. Because from my point of view, it's just so much confusion about this whole idea of identity, because then there's some people who say, well, oh, I got to go to the nirvana, I got to be nobody, I got to be nothing, I got to be like I serve my God, and I got to be subservient, and I got to be humble, and I better not be strong, I better not raise my voice. And people, if you look at different religions, honestly, you look at some of the religions and you see that the way they practice it, they might have a really strict kind of hair, really strict kind of clothes and behavior, and after a while you start to wonder, like, really? Is that who we really are? The certain clothes or the certain religious practices that we might do, costumes, behaviors, certain prayers, you got to speak a certain language to be a certain religion, and so on. All of that stuff is essentially just like our costume, because you get born in a certain place in the world, and boy, in a certain place in the world, if you get born, boy, you got your clothes lined up. Your clothes are black, here they are. Or if you're a woman, says, well, there you go. This is what you wear. And all that stuff, thinking about who are we in relation to this God or this, the infinity, or what's the purpose of a life? Are we supposed to do these certain practices all our life? And how we get rid of this ego, the ego. And I remember I read this one statement by a man who lived in the late 1800s and early 1900s. He was a man named Ramana Maharishi. And he said, people ask this question, who are you? What are you? And a lot of people don't even ask that question. But one of the examples he said was, if you have a burnt rope, a rope could be burnt, and in the lighting conditions, you're going around and you see this burnt rope and you think, oh, it's a snake. But it's not. And you just touch it and it's just like a piece of nothing. What we call our ego and our identity, if you really stop and think of it, it's like the shell on a bubble. It's just nothing. It's just based on whatever we think and our costume. We have an attitude, maybe. We wear certain clothes, a certain kind of hat, or certain kind of glasses. Like, I'm this or I'm that, Every single one of those identities that we try to adapt is just a complete fabrication. It's a manufactured identity. Because it really has nothing to do with our real deep being. And this is what the different teachers say. It's like, it's really a simple thing. It's like, let's say you're Bozo the Clown and you go off to work every day and you wear this stupid costume and you make stupid things, do stupid things, and at night you take your costume off. I hope. So it's sort of like that. We have this concept of ourselves. I'm like I'm a lawyer, or I'm a whatever, you know. And it's fine to have all that. It's just understand what it really is. Because you say, like, okay, I put on my costume and I go to work and I do my thing and I put on and then I come home and I'm naked, you know. With our real identity, it doesn't have like an identity. Our real being, if you sit and think and just feel, enjoy a quiet place, you just feel like, well, there's a stillness inside us. It doesn't have an identity. It doesn't have a name. If you're sitting there being quiet, just relaxing, you don't think, I am so-and-so, I'm so-and-so. You just rest. So the core of our being doesn't really have an identity. It's just like that burnt rope. And the idea that, you know, people need to, it's really quite a tragedy. People think, well, I got to be serving to God, I got to destroy my ego, you know, whatever. And it's just so unfortunate because we have to have some kind of a little something. We got to get clothes on to go to work. We got to put a lot of, let's just understand the difference. Okay, well, I have this shell, I have this body, I have a name, I have a da-da-da-da, I have a signature, but when I sit there in the final analysis, and certainly when I die, it's just, I think people, you know, if you understand what I'm saying, most people who listen to this are pretty awake people, and I know it really helps to get told and get inspired because we need it. We need a reminder about how to just approach this whole thing, because as we go through our life, we encounter different obstacles in life, and sometimes in relationships you have like this identity. The core of our identity is, well, I'm so-and-so. And then in a relationship over time, like, well, deep down, both human beings are growing and they need to get into a different phase of life. They need to stop identifying that particular way and remold themselves. And a lot of the great teachers in places like India and so on, they say, look, there's a tradition. Go wander from town to town. Meet different people. Stay in different places. You have to rely on your resources and grow and find all different aspects of your identity, because there are people who go through their whole life, like I said, they might be a certain religion, they have to wear certain clothes, and they have a certain behavior, and everybody expects certain things of them. And they might live their whole life in a trap that way, and never getting a chance to explore any other aspects of their being. So the whole idea of who are we is a very, very important question. It's something everybody needs to address in their life, and it's a very beautiful, beautiful private thing. So, well, I know I'm not that, I'm not this, and there's another thing, another technique that some of the one great teachers use. Say, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, or I'm it, I am that, I am that. You either like, you're nothing of the material thing and you're just spirit, or you are part of that spirit, or you are immersed in that spirit, which is everything. So take your pick. Because let's say, for example, if you take a pool of water, or let's say in the ocean, and where do you say in the ocean, this is the ocean? I mean, it's a vast, vast thing. In the same way with our own identity, there's a lot for us to explore. And one thing we need to remember is our identity, our concept of our identity is perfectly natural to let it shift and change, because we need that. We need to grow. If we're a growing person and a growing being, we change our shape, we change our views, we have different experiences. And if you think about it, like, let's say, we all had a childhood, and we, at that time, where maybe we wanted to grow up and be a fireman or an astronaut or something, and we wanted to be somebody. We wanted to be a certain thing. But then there are people, you grow up and they had different careers. They might have had multiple careers and even several marriages. And so, again, getting back to what I was really trying to discuss is the whole sense of the ego. Because what is our ego really? It's just like, there's an analogy. You say, well, if you have a tree and you have a sun, the tree casts a shadow. The shadow of the tree may look different and strange in some ways, but it varies according to the position of the sun and whatever. The personality, there's a light, there's a consciousness that you might say, a presence that we experience in meditation, and just a presence that's with us, that morphs things. And our personalities, like that shadow, we're just sort of like trying to, the whole idea of the superconsciousness or the subconsciousness, and people think, well, I've got a subconscious mind. But from a yogi's point of view, what we call our conscious mind, their daily activities and so on, is really a reflection. It's just a shadow of a greater consciousness, because we know, even scientifically, we say, well, there's certain intuitive reactions and responses and awarenesses there's a part of our awareness that is 24/7 conscious and flowing along and picks up signals, and we don't necessarily register it consciously. With slowing down and relaxing our perception, we start to get more conscious of what's already being. In other words, we get more conscious, and we start to build a bridge between what we call the superconscious or the subconscious in our day-to-day life. And again, the whole concept of what is our identity, it's not wrong to have an identity that is a tool. I mean, people go to work and they have they become a career, certain kinds of careers, like I'm really identified, like Bozo the Clan, believe me, there's nobody like it, right? But there's lawyers and there's doctors, and they all have certain characteristics. And analogy I see is like a fire. There's fire, and there's different kinds of fire. There's different shapes of fire. There's different temperatures of fire. There's different colors of fire, depending on materials and so on. But fire by itself is an element. It's something. A spirit, a soul, something that we are, our existence, is like a flame. It has different outer characteristics, but it's the heat and the combustion and something much more elemental that is we have to think about, we have to be aware of. And that's the same way with our meditation, with our own being, our own awareness. There's many different kinds of characteristics of awareness. But there's a commonality in being, a oneness. So, I don't know if I make anything clear, because I try to explain a little bit of my own experience. And honestly, I really believe the whole spiritual path. People say, oh, I'm spiritual. If I'm spiritual, I gotta be humble, and I better not do this, and I better walk real quietly, and so on. I think that's a little silly. Because spirit is just life. There's all different kinds of personalities. It's okay. You don't have to be a nun. You don't have to be a monk. You don't have to be celibate. You don't have to be, whatever, any kind of concept that people have about how they're going to realize and be themselves. Be yourself. if you get into a place where usually what happens is people relax into their own being and they start to feel better and better and happier, and they start feeling, well, I feel really nice, I feel kind, and I don't really want to kill those animals, and I'm certainly not going to be violent, and you start to have a little more respect for your body, you take care of it a little more, and so on. So it's sort of, you grow in the so-called spirit, you just grow in awareness, and then you just sort of like adapt your life. Starts to evolve. The whole idea of the discipline, like, oh, you got to be a monk. Like I said, there's certain concepts of people like, okay, I got to be a certain way, and if I'm not that certain way, then I'm not spiritual, and I'm not holy, and da 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 da. That's just such a silly concept. And I make these videos for a reason, because I know there's awful lot of confusion out there. There's so much confusion about different spiritual stuff, making life very, very complicated by saying, okay, you want to have this simple experience, but in order to have it, you got to have this you got to build this whole thing around it. No, you can have a spiritual experience or a simple realization. There's one place in the Upanishad that says it's like a bird flying. When a bird gets tired, what does it do? A bird gets tired, it finally says, I'm tired, I just got to rest. I rest. As human beings, all we need to do is come to rest. So many people today, busy, got to do, got to like make that schedule happen and all that stuff, build my empire. And all the sages say, look, you don't have to be poor. You don't have to say, okay, oh my God, like I'm going to be crawling around and eating dirt and begging all my life so I could have like a holy experience. No. There's sort of just a relaxation and letting go that, look, okay, I have this clown suit or this lawyer suit or the doctor suit or whatever suit that I wear during the day, and my identity and all the behavior that I do and the way I shape my hair and da da da. And they put all that stuff right over there for a little while every day and be nothing. Be nothing. Or be everything. It's basically the same thing. So it's just, there's a little bit of a membrane, you might say, between, like the membrane of a cell. There's this little tiny little thing, our little identity, that keeps us little separated from everybody, everything. And if you make that shell hard, like a cockroach or a beetle, but you know, it's not necessary, because in the flow of living this, if we relax and just let ourselves be ourselves, if more people did that, leave the concepts of the religions and all the stuff behind, just put all that stuff away for a while. We're just human beings in this life. We all breathe. Same nerves, same brain, same this, same skin, you know, we're only here for a short time. And I suggest to people that look into this whole conversation about what are we, who are we? We're nothing and we're everything. We just got born here. And as soon as you get to a certain age, you start assembling things. Okay, I gotta have my identity. It usually happens in the teenagers, or maybe when you're 2, you say, no, that's my toy. No, I don't play with dolls anymore. You start having an identity. So I suggest, again, you know, how many identities can you have in your life? You know, honestly, there's one identity, one actor, puts on a lot of different costumes. Goes home, relaxes, say, hey, what am I going to do tomorrow? Well, maybe I'll put this costume on, or whatever. At the end of the day, just You just take it all off. And that, the idea of my feeling about letting go of the so-called ego, it's not a big deal. Of course we have to have some kind of little name and whatever, identity, and identity is just a tool. It's like, okay, I have a tool, I pick it up, I use it, I put it down, that's it. I got an identity, I have an act I do, I have a thing I do, maybe I do different things. Sometimes I play guitar, sometimes I'm a dad, sometimes I'm a granddad, sometimes I mow the lawn, I do different things. At the end of the day, I'm the same being, I just do all different things. I have different roles. I don't have to attach to a particular thing. And there are many people who strive their whole life because they just want to be, if I'm a famous actor, I gotta get a famous musician, I gotta get a contract, I gotta be on TV, I gotta be respected, I gotta get known. You're already known. Do you know yourself? If you know yourself, you're known. Who else is gonna know you, really? Knowing ourselves, knowing what we are, which is an ongoing experience. It's not like say, okay, one day you just wake up and say, yeah, I know myself now. It's sort of like I keep knowing more about my being. That's a more realistic way of saying it. And the whole concept of enlightenment, are you enlightened? Well, I suggest you it's kind of a silly thing. You have a little light in your life, you turn on a light in your house. It could be bright light, could be dim light, could be any kind of light's good. We're all kind of enlightened. If there's more light to get, just keep going. So I make these videos again to put my 2 cents out there. A few people listen at this point, but that's really good because really ultimately it's a one-to-one experience in this life. You meet people, you connect, and so on. And that's the beauty of it, because every single human being has something to contribute in a really beautiful way. And the idea of in many countries there's still and I know in Thailand and India you go like this, it's like, well, basically it's sort of, I'm dropping my veil, you drop your veil, we just meet each other at the breath level, at the human level. That's it. Once we let go the barriers around our own concepts, if we let those be more flexible, our concept of our being, let it be more open. People are open to each other, good things happen. So again, I put my 2 cents out there and I encourage feedback and so on. I appreciate the intelligent and creative compliments and comments and so on, and I'll hope to see you in some other videos. Again, thank you for watching.